If you think back to before the pandemic, there was a lot of discussion about automation, that AI automation was going to take away jobs in the retail, transport, food sectors. And at that stage, we were talking about this new social class, the precariats, people who felt left behind by the AI, the automation, because of automation.
Sure.
Now we have generative AI, and as you know, there are many studies and technologists also raising the issue that actually jobs in education, in law, in marketing are also going to be taken away. It depends on who you talk to, but it could be up to 50% of jobs in the next 2 years, according to Kai-Fu Lee, for instance, the author of AI Superpowers. And from my perspective as a social scientist focused on global risk, we're going to have more people, unfortunately, who feel they've been left behind by the next economic transition. And I think that will lead to this occupational identity crisis, where many of us, sadly, will feel that we're not quite sure where we fit into a global AI economy. And I think there will be a need to think about to what extent do we have a sense of purpose. If we, especially for young people who are in college, is their degree still relevant? What is their career path going to look like? So I think there's definitely a lot of anxiety that's building, and it's leading to this growing precariat class around the world.
Thought leaders in the financial sector who report that Wall Street, VCs, the constant question from them is, when can you reduce headcounts? When is AI going to automate these repetitive, low-level tasks? So it's not theoretical. The pressure is real on organizations to do exactly the kinds of things that will contribute to a precariat.
Exactly, and I think we should go slow, because let's also not forget there are a lot of studies that indicate, and one recently came out from MIT, they indicate that actually there's limited return on investment at this stage if you adopt AI and replace your workers. So I think we need to go slow and make sure we're taking into account the effect on the worker, the employee. That human component is really important. Sure, and I'm fortunate to be able to travel around the world and talk about these sorts of issues at different forums and summits. And I think there's no question that all governments are trying to get on the AI train, and in terms of investment and adopting this as fast as possible to stay competitive on the global landscape. I think what a lot of studies have shown is that actually we're seeing more use of AI outside of the usual suspects. I mean, yes, US, China are definitely focused on AI, but you're also seeing a lot of AI engagement in smaller countries like Singapore, the UAE, and I think on some level the big powers are quite overburdened, with a lot as we deal with major issues at home and also, major conflicts abroad. So I think this is an opportunity for the smaller states, I think, to show leadership and engage. And I would also argue, and this has come up in my own research, that smaller countries and perhaps less democratic countries will be better equipped to handle the AI transition and the risks associated with AI versus certain democratic countries. At least that's what we've seen in our research.
What advantage do they have?
In the sense that they already have a history of, they know how to manage risks better because the society is more controlled anyway.
Okay.
I also have toyed with this AI anxiety index. It's a prototype that I've created to see where there's more anxiety about the AI transition. And to be honest, it's more in the US, UK, and France, and less in China, Singapore, Japan. And I don't know if this is an East versus West dynamic or democracy versus less democratic context. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but that certainly should be part of our thought process as we try to understand the AI transition. I think big picture, what we need to think about is where we are in the world today in our history. The post-Cold War era, from my perspective and based on our research, is over. It's not led by one country. And of course, this is a multipolar era, but I think what we're going to see going forward is that tech firms themselves are, in a way, the next superpower. And they have already shown they have significant sway on the global stage.
Sure.
And they're filling that gap. Is that good or bad? I mean, I guess it depends on who the tech leader is and who the tech company is. But I think that's just something to be mindful of, and the rules of the game are not clear anymore. And I think that's a significant risk.
Well, Maha, you mentioned your work in risk, and you also lead an annual project at NYU with Wikistrat to crowdsource major risks and shock for 2026. Can you talk about what key risks come up regularly in your research?
Sure. In fact, we're running the project this week. It's a collaboration between a 10-year collaboration between my graduate students at NYU and crowdsourced consultancy Wikistrat. And as you said, we predict the risks and shocks for the coming year and through to 2030. The last 2 years in particular, there's no question that AI risks have come up a lot, particularly in terms of, again, the impact on the worker. Will that lead to anxiety, which bleeds into unrest in certain countries, but also in terms of the impact on mental health? I think it's quite concerning that companies like OpenAI have shown that their data reflects that 1 million people every week are engaging with ChatGPT with suicidal thoughts. And I think I'm not sure how that is going to be resolved, but I think the fact that AI tools are being leveraged in this way is significant. We do have indication that certain negative actors, hate groups, extremist groups, are also using AI tools for their, campaigns. That is also concerning.